You've seen Fraser, Hastings. What is your feeling?
He's a big chap. Fragile isn't exactly the word that springs to mind. I talked to his landlady before seeing him. She went to bed at 11. Fraser wasn't home yet.
Bien. Megan Barnard said he is a reserved character but with a nasty temper. We will see if this is the case. How do you do, Mr. Fraser?
You Hercule Poirot. Mr. Hastings said you wanted to speak to me.
Yes. I know that it may not be the right time, but I would like to ask you a few questions. This man looks suspicious.
Leave me alone.
Donald Fraser is in a terrible state, as if he hadn't slept all night. And he's drinking White Horse.
Leave me alone. Tell me that it's a mistake. That Betty isn't dead.
Sadly, your lady friend has been murdered, Mr. Fraser.
Oh, Betty, if only you'd listened.
Did you visit Betty yesterday afternoon?
No, I haven't seen Betty for 2 days. I was at the office yesterday afternoon.
Can you prove that?
Of course. But why this question? Betty died yesterday evening, didn't she?
Yesterday, a guest came to the Ginger Cat alone and ordered a White Horse whiskey, and by the look of it, you also appear to be fond of this brand.
Yes, it's a good whiskey and not cheap. I only drink it on special occasions. Or tragic ones.
I understand. Do you know what Betty's plans were yesterday evening?
She said she was having dinner with her sister.
Yet, Megan only returned to Bexhill this morning, Mr. Fraser.
I didn't know.
Right. May I ask you what you were doing yesterday evening?
I spent the evening working.
Your colleagues can confirm this?
No, I often take work home with me.
Therefore, you have no alibi, Mr. Fraser.
That's right. But that doesn't make me a murderer, Mr. Poirot. I would like you to leave now, please.
Ah, I knew I'd find you here, Poirot. I thought the victim's young man was here.
Yes, is all yours, Chief Inspector. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Fraser doesn't have an alibi and he's extremely jealous.
You are very skilled at summing up.
And yet you haven't asked Japp to arrest him.
It is too soon. But I agree, without the letters announcing the crimes, Fraser would already be behind bars. Bon, I think we have enough elements. Let's reconstruct the events at the scene of the crime.
I can't imagine how the murderer wasn't seen, though. Surely she must have struggled.
Let us try and imagine the scene. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6.
The murderer moves behind her and then attacks her by surprise. The body falls, lifeless, on the sand. All that remains is for our criminal to leave his signature.
No, that is not right. Even if the body is in the right place, Miss Betty should no longer have a bag or her shoes. The marks on her neck no longer match either. Let us think again, mon cher. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. Then she hides a coat.
The killer tries to remove his victim's belt. She panics and tries to stop him. She runs away, pursued by her assailant.
No, there is no sign of a chase. Things must have happened differently. Let us think again, mon cher. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. Then she hides a coat. They keep walking. Then she removes her belt.
The murderer moves behind her and then attacks her by surprise. The body falls, lifeless, on the sand.
Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened. Without the ABC, we might have suspected Mr. Asher and Mr. Fraser. But by signing his crimes, the murderer is making sure he's accused. In a way, it is very generous of him.
Generous? The murderer seduced Betty in order to lure her to the beach and kill her.
Indeed, the young woman was certainly careless, but not stupid enough to follow a stranger.
What are you planning to do, Poirot?
Return to London, mon cher Hastings. Right, back to London. There is nothing more for us to do here.
Japp has decided to reveal details to the press. The alphabet murder is now famous.
It is not a bad idea. The more people who know, the greater our chances of finding out something of interest.
Poirot, I have a bad feeling. Poor Mr. Poirot, not so good at these little criminal matters as you thought yourself, are you? Rather past your prime, perhaps. Let us see if you can do any better this time. This time, it's an easy one. Churston on the 30th. Do try and do something about it. It's a bit dull having it all my own way, you know. Good hunting. Ever yours, ABC. Good hunting. Did you hear that, Poirot? The murderer seems to be taking it all as a game, a challenge. He will strike on 30th in Churston. We must warn Scotland Yard. No time to lose. We must prepare our suitcases for Churston.
Mon Dieu, it is already 10 o'clock. I will call Scotland Yard immediately. Hello, Japp. We received a new letter from ABC in the 10 o'clock post.
Where and when?
In Churston. Today.
Today? I'll inform the population immediately.
I'll check the train times. Call me back. Hastings, what you are doing is an absolute disaster. That is no way to pack suitcases.
Heavens, we must hurry. We have to get to Churston before the murder.
You're right, Hastings. It is an emergency.
At last, Poirot, you're being reasonable. Poirot, you were right. I've just consulted the ABC guide. There's no hurry. The next train doesn't leave till 11:45.
You see, there is no need to hurry. We will not be in Churston until tomorrow morning. After the murder.
But why has the murderer warned us so late? It's not what he usually does. Did he do it on purpose?
Very good question, Hastings. We should also compare the letter we have just received with the other two. Although I have very little doubt about what we will find. Hastings' photo album. He is very proud of his bag. It is not a good time. It is not a good time. Daily Flicker, July 30, 1935. ABC affair, no progress. The alphabet murderer is still on the run. Ever since the police found the connection between the Bexhill and Andover affairs, the inquiry has barely progressed. In this issue, we are publishing provocative letters sent by the killer to Hercule Poirot. Unfortunately, they have not yet helped to find him. Daily Flicker, July the 26th, 1935. The Bexhill Horror. Young maid strangled on the beach. Killer struck at midnight. We've missed the 6:45 train, but we have plenty of time to catch the night train. Ah, some cool air. It is not a good time. I lock my revolver in this drawer. I've not used it in a very long time. In his haste, Hastings tore the envelope. Poor Mr. Poirot. Not so good. Right, let us compare this new letter with the second one. Let us examine this more closely. Certain characters in the two letters may have similar defects. Yes, this I is weird. Yes, this I is weird. Yes, the I characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. Yes, the A appears to be quite unusual. That's right. The A characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. The W is not printed properly. Of course, the W characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. My theory was right. These two letters were written with the same typewriter. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. The letter should have arrived in time. The postmark shows that it was sent 3 days ago. However, our man made a mistake in the address, which explains the delay. All the same, the post office took their time correcting the error.
Come on, Poirot. Your address is not quite as well known as that of Scotland Yard. Poirot, the telephone. It must be Jap.
I have some news from Churchton. Bad news, I'm afraid. Sir Carmichael Clark was murdered while out on his evening walk.
Sir Carmichael Clark. The name is familiar to me.
He was a famous throat specialist, one of the best in London. A wealthy man, he retired to Combside, a beautiful house by the sea. He collected antiques.
Are you going there?
Yes, let's meet on the train. The victim is called Sir Carmichael Clark, one of the best throat specialists in London. The body was still warm when we found it. If we'd been warned earlier, we definitely could have saved him.
It appears that the murderer made a mistake when he wrote his letter.
A mistake? Lucky for him.
And what if he did it on purpose?
No. He's defined his madcap rules and he's sticking to them. It's a matter of pride for him. Shall we go up to the house, Poirot?
You go, my friends. I will come soon.